Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityurma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. Lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness unto light. Lead us from death to immortality. Om. Peace, peace, peace. Namaste and welcome back to this evening session. We'll start, as is our structure, with a short meditation, and then we'll try to cover one or two more verses of the 6th chapter, and then some question answers. And I'm determined to have some question answers. We'll keep time for that. So the meditation session which we are going to have here is adapted from Adi Shankaracharya's Aparokshanubhuti. In the text Aparokshanubhuti, at the end of the text, Adi Shankaracharya gives us 15 techniques of non-dual meditation. What he does there is, he takes the practices of Hatha Yoga and then transforms them, adapts them to non-dual meditation. So the one we will do out of those 15, the one we will do today, now, is called Pranayama, which is the control of the breath. But how do you go from there to non-dual meditation? First of all, what Pranayama normally is, it is this. In yoga, yogis found that the control of the mind is easily achieved if breath is controlled. They found a link between the breath and the mind. When we are excited, angry, the breath is faster and shallow. When we are maybe sick or dull, the breath is of one type. When the mind is poised and serene, the breath is of another type. Now the question was, suppose you can change the breath. You can, because it's voluntary. If we can make the breath more rhythmic, deeper, will it affect the mind? And they found it does, straight away. Directly controlling the mind with the mind, that is the subtlest and the best, but it's most difficult also. Arjuna understood this. He asked this question in the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. In the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna teaches Arjuna meditation. And Arjuna's response is, this meditation that you have taught me, O Krishna, is worthless, is useless. Why? Because the mind is difficult to control, like the wind. Vayureva sudushkaram, like the wind is difficult to control. It's difficult to control. It's powerful, unruly. So, and then Krishna gives him a solution that vairagya and practice, dispassion and practice will bring even this mind under control. But one mechanical way, powerful way and mechanical way is control of the breath. Now, different techniques. So it became a whole science, control of the breath, pranayama. Used for many things, but also useful for meditation. The basic idea is there are 3 phases to breath. 3 phases. Breathing in, holding the breath, releasing the breath. Breathing in is called Puraka, holding the breath is called Kumbhaka, and releasing the breath is called Rechaka. They found, the yogis, that if you do it in a rhythmic way, it has a very good effect, calming effect on the mind. So the most basic pranayama, it is very well known. When you do worship, for example, pujaris will do it before starting the meditation aspect of it. So it goes like this. There is a count of 8, 4, not 8, 4, 16, 8. So you breathe in for 4 counts, hold the breath for 16 counts, and release it for 8 counts. 4, 16, 8. It is done like this. Puraka, Kumbhaka, Rechaka. So with this, I'm not teaching you. You have to learn this from a yoga teacher in your yoga class. But I'm just showing you what's done. Using this thumb, you close the right nostril and then You can count on the fingers of your, you can count mentally, but count on the fingers. I usually count with ohms. You can count with 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 counts in, like 1, 2, 3, 4, or om, 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 om. So you breathe in. You don't have to say it out loud. Mentally count. I'm making a sound while breathing in. You're not supposed to make a sound while breathing in. I'm doing it for demonstration only. And then you hold. Use these fingers to hold this nostrils. Hold. 16 counts. Om, om, like that. 16 counts. And once you've completed that, release for 8 counts. So, om, 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 and released. Then breathe in for 4 counts from the right nostril. Hold again for 16 counts. And then release for 8 counts from the left nostril. This is one pranayama. This is the most basic pranayama. And then it increases in proportion. The counts will increase from 4, 16, 8 to 8, 32 and 16. 8, 32, 16. Like that. It will increase. But the 4, 16, 8 is the most basic pranayama. And you will see immediately. If you do 1 or 3 or 5 such cycles, your mind will calm down, at least temporarily, for a while. It makes it suitable for meditation. So this is pranayama. But this is not non-dual meditation. What Shankaracharya says is that in non-dual meditation, first you breathe out. When you breathe out, you feel you are breathing out the world, the body, the mind. Breathing out. Let it go. You stay only as awareness. When you breathe in next, breathe in, you're breathing in, I am awareness. With the in breath, notice that I am awareness, I am Brahman, I am consciousness. And then you hold the breath, stay there as awareness. And then let go of the breath. While breathing out, you feel I'm breathing out the world, body and mind. Breathing in, I am awareness. Hold the breath means stay there as awareness. And then breathe out means breathing out all thought of the world, all thought of the body, all mind, all mental activity. Just be awareness by itself. So this is called non-dual meditation, using pranayama as a basis. It's not about breath control actually. Once you get the hang of it, you don't even have to do anything with the breath. You just have to stay as awareness. The breath is just an anchor. The breath is a good anchor. Why? First of all, it's always available. It's a good practice to breathe. Highly recommended. So, breath is always available. It is generally rhythmic. And it goes on without voluntary control. At any time, you can assume voluntary control of it also. It's like one of those, I saw here, Waymo taxi with self-driving, like that. You can assume voluntary control or it can travel by itself. Breath is like that. And it's very neutral. It has no religious connotation, no metaphysical baggage, just breath. All right. So this is the non-dual meditation. Now what about the original pranayama? This 4 counts, 16 counts hold, 8 counts release. What about that? Shankaracharya is a little mischievous there. He says, oh, that one. He says, this is the pranayama, prabuddhanam. This is the pranayama. I am Brahman, I am consciousness, let go of the world. This is the pranayama of the enlightened ones. What about that one? Hold this, release. He says, oh, that one, that is torturing the nose. Grana pidanam. He's just being humorous. Okay. All right. So, we won't do the torturing of the nose. We'll just remember the breathing in. First of all, breathing out. Then breathing in. No counts. Just let it be natural. Breathe like the wind. So, breathing in. Hold also. Short. Don't try to hold for a long time. Maybe 3. 1, 2, 3 mentally. And then let go. Breathe out again. All right. Let us sit relaxed, straight. It is important to be as still as possible. Don't fight it if you have to move, if there is an ache or a cough or a sneeze, then do it, but become still as soon as possible. Relaxed and still. Now, using the breath for non-dual meditation, notice that you are aware of the breath, but it is important in this technique not to think that you are aware of the breath. Rather, when breathing in, holding, letting go of the breath, you feel you are in the breath. You are awareness and you are inside the breath. Or you can feel the breath is happening in you, the awareness. I am awareness, in me the breath is happening. Not that I am aware of the breath as an object. Rather, I enter into the breath. I expand into the breath. As the breath will flow out, feel you are letting go of the world, of the body, of the mind. I am not the body, I am not the mind. That is out breath. Then in breath, breathe in deeply and feel I am consciousness. Let the consciousness flow into the breath. As breathing in, feel the breath is in consciousness. In me the light, in me the consciousness, the in breath is coming in. And then hold for just a couple of seconds. I am consciousness. Then let go. I'm not the body, not the mind. Out breath. Naturally, don't force it. Naturally, when the in breath, out breath ends and in breath starts, you feel inside you the consciousness. In breath is coming. I am awareness. Let us do this in a very relaxed manner. First, breathe out the world, body, mind. Breathe in, awareness. Hold, awareness. Breathe out, body, world, mind. Now, just as we feel that the in-breath and out-breath are happening in me, the consciousness, in-breath, out-breath, happening in me, the consciousness, holding the breath, happening in me, the consciousness, expand the awareness to the other sensations in the body, the feeling of the body, the aches and pains, or the tightness, or the warmth in the body. They are also appearing in me. Sensation of the chair beneath us, the floor beneath our feet, also happening in me, the consciousness, arising in me. Other sensations, sounds in this room, outside the room, happening in me, the consciousness. And when we open our eyes, all the forms, colors and shapes happening in me, the consciousness. Whatever I see, hear, smell, taste, touch, is happening in me, the consciousness. Whatever I think of, I remember, I feel, happening in me, the consciousness. Indeed, all my experience of life is literally happening in me, the consciousness. Breathing out, not body, not mind. Breathing in, I am awareness, I am consciousness. Stay there as consciousness. Pervading all sensations, all sensory experiences, all thoughts and emotions, all knowledge, all waking and dreaming and sleep. I am consciousness. Chanting Om together 3 times. Om. When you are comfortable, you can open your eyes. Look at your lap first. Like your hands on your lap. Don't look up immediately. And slowly, when you are comfortable, you can look up. This is one example. But if you're interested, you can look up Aparoksha Anubhuti, the last part of it. 15 such different practices are given, all very interesting. Of course, when you look at those practices, very soon you will see it's all the same. Shankaracharya is just using 15 different things to come back to the same I am awareness, that's all. Verse number 3. Verse number 3. Chapter 6, verse 3. Those who like, you can chant after me. Apadya chala chittosmi. Apadya chala chittosmi. Jagan mitram cha sampadi. Jagan mitram cha sampadi. Bhava bhava vihinosmi. Bhava bhavo vihinosmi. Tena jivamya namayam. Tena jivamya namayam. Since I am undistracted or stable-minded when I am in distress or face suffering, and I am a friend to the world, meaning benevolent to the whole universe at the time of prosperity, I am free of bhava and abhava, meaning bereft of gain and loss, growth and decay. Therefore, I do not have any delight or sadness, and I remain always free from sorrow. Beautiful verse. What it says is, to understand these verses, one must always start from Bodhoham, I am awareness. Then only these will make sense. Otherwise, they won't make sense. I am awareness. Next, Apadi achala chittosmi. When things don't go my way, there is illness, there is unhappiness, there is distress, there is anxiety, there is struggle in the world for me personally as this person. The natural tendency of the mind is to get upset. One Swami joked, he said, when the setup is not to our liking, we become upset. So, we become upset. But when I know that I am this limitless awareness from eternity to eternity, throughout waking, dreaming, sleep, not affected by the body, its ills and its aging and its birth and death, not affected by the prana, its hunger and thirst and its disease and all that, not affected by the mind, its ups and downs, its fears and anxieties and depression, not affected by the knowledge and ignorance of the intellect, not affected by the blankness, the darkness of the deep sleep state. Pancha kosha vinir mukta atma. This is the phrase used in Sanskrit. The atma, the self, the consciousness, which is free of the 5 sheaths of the human personality. You remember the meditation we did in the morning? So I'm free of the 5 sheaths of the human personality. That atma, that self, I am. From that perspective, when I hold on to that is my nature, then the mind can be stable. Not only I am consciousness, but the mind which is full of this knowledge, that mind is now no longer easily shaken. That is what Krishna means. Dukkhena gurunapi na vichalyate. Atman, consciousness, Brahman is not shaken anyway. No matter what happens. Even if I feel very shaken, if I feel very upset, I means in connection with the mind, this ego. Brahman or Atman, consciousness is not affected at all. It's just the witness of that. It's the illuminer of that upset. But when the mind is imbued with this knowledge, then the mind also will not be easily shaken. I'm reminded of Sri Ramakrishna dying of cancer, a famous incident. And Swami Turiyananda ji, the young boy Hari, he comes and asks, "Sir, how are you today?" Terminal cancer, throat cancer. And Sri Ramakrishna said, like any cancer patient would, I cannot eat, it hurts here. And the young man, for whatever reason, he says, "But sir, I see you are in great bliss." It's a very strange thing to say to a terminal cancer patient. And this even stranger thing is Sri Ramakrishna agreed immediately. He smiled and he said, "Oh, the rascal has found me out." In Bengali, "Shala dhore niyeche." He has seen through me. What does that mean? Does it mean that this person is not feeling the pain? Is he acting? No. He's feeling the pain, the same suffering as any cancer patient would. At the same time, there is something, some depth to this person. At that depth, in the middle of the storm, is the calm, is the one light which never wavers, never flickers. There is no pain, there is no sorrow. And being centered there, I can say, apadi, in the midst of danger, in the midst of distress, in the midst of anxiety, fear, terror, achalo chitto asmi, I am unshaken, I am of unshaken mind. Even the mind is steady, even the mind is carefree, even the mind is, as Turiyananda ji said, full of bliss, in the midst of dying of cancer. Why? First of all, I know very clearly I am not dying. It is the body which is deteriorating, as it will. It will go anyway, one day or the other. So it's dying of cancer, all right. Always, from the witness consciousness perspective, let it come, let it stay, let it go. When it comes, do not resist. When it stays, endure. When it goes, do not cling. Sometimes when it is not something we want, we resist it. But the sky does not resist. If it is a dark cloud coming, sky does not resist. And when it goes, if it's something nice, a person, a relationship, an object, maybe a job or whatever it is, an experience, a retreat, we tend to cling, prolong it. No, let it go. William Blake's beautiful, he who clings to a joy as it flies, kills the winged life. But he who clings kills the winged life. But he who kisses the joy as it flies lives in eternity's sunrise. Always sunrise. There is a word in Sanskrit, Purana. Purana. There are texts called Puranas, Bhagavata Purana and all. But the meaning of Purana is Purapi Nava. Ancient, most ancient, but always new. So not just those texts, our own nature as pure consciousness is most ancient, but always fresh and new. Eternity's sunrise. No sunsets for us. And while the negative thing, problem, pain, suffering is there, endure. Like suppose there's a storm going on, the vast sky, it endures. It's not affected at all. It knows I cannot be affected. He says, Apad, in the middle of the storm, in the middle of the distress, Achala Chittovasmi, I am unshaken. Swami Vivekananda gives us this challenge, this exercise, this practice, one of the best practices. Never let anything disturb your serenity. Your serenity, serenity of your mind. Serenity of the Atman is undisturbed anyway. It's choiceless. But serenity of the mind, and it will take effort. Because the mind is easily upset. Never let anything disturb the serenity of your mind. Practice. And when things are going well, when I am rich, when I am healthy, when I'm in the opportunity, I have the opportunity to help others. Jagan Mitram cha Sampadi. In the midst of prosperity, health, good fortune, I am a friend to the world. Why am I doing this? What am I doing? I am doing this for, I have this opportunity to help the world. I read somewhere, there's a distinction between poverty mentality and prosperity mentality. It's a mentality. It's a mentality. And a very touching anecdote. This person, he has written, said when I was young, I lived in this small town in America, and we used to, so his mother was a single mother and she struggled to raise all the children. They worked very hard. They had very difficult circumstances. And we would all be taken, marched to the church every Sunday. And there would be a collection in the church. Every year, money would be collected and donated to the poorest people in the poorest family in the parish, in that locality. And we were also, whatever little we had pocket money, we saved and donated so that the poorest family can be helped. And you can know the end of the story, you can guess. The day it was announced that this money is going to be given, and imagine our surprise when my mother's name was called out. That we are actually the poorest family, but we had eagerly saved and donated throughout the year. We never felt we were poor. The whole community was giving money to help us, which is very nice. But so that I never had the poverty mentality. Whatever I have, little bit, if there's no money, at least a few kind words, at least forbear with the other person's problems. If somebody else is being difficult, instead of condemning them for being difficult, forbear. Be like the vast sky, hold on. Give space to the other person. So, this is, I am the friend of the world. Jagan Mitram cha Sampadi. Swami Vivekananda says, let all vision cease, or if you cannot, then eternal love and service free. He says, if you cannot, then dream but better dreams, which are eternal love and service free. Even if you cannot become enlightened right now, and this is all very good, but I don't see myself as pure consciousness. This is all based on the condition that you see yourself as pure consciousness. Then these will work. And quite easily these will work. But I can't if I say. Swami Vivekananda says, he will not let us go. He says, or let vision cease. Or if you cannot, dream but better dreams. What's the best, if the life is a dream, what's the best dream? Why dream a nightmare? What's the best possible dream? What's the highest, best, noblest philosophy to live by? Love, which is unconditional, service, which is unconditional, eternal love and service free. I will give, I will love, and I will give. I don't want anything in return. Free, unconditional. It sets you free. The first person who is set free by such a life is you yourself. It's a wonderful way of living. I have no demand from anything or anybody, including my own life. Whatever little thing I can give, it could be emotionally, it could be in terms of moral support, it could be an encouraging word, it could be actual physical service, it could be financial help. Whatever it is that I can give, I will give. Eternal love and service free. He says, in the midst of distress, when I cannot do, but I am not in a position to do, I am sick and bedridden. Achala chitto asmi. I am of serene mind. But I can do something. I have money, I have means. Jagan mitram cha sampadi. I am a friend to the world. I am a friend to the world. Bhava bhava vihinosmi. And he says this is the essence of Advaita Vedanta. What is the essence? Yesterday I mentioned the cheat sheet. You are awareness. Whatever you are aware of, that you are not. What you are aware of is of two kinds. Bhava, abhava. Bhava means existing things. People, animals, plants, chairs and tables, quarks and quasars. These are existing things. The tiny and the vast, the living and the non-living, the human and the non-human. Those who are related to you and not related to you. They are this whole range of this universe. They are all called one word, bhava. Existence. Not existence. It is using the Heideggerian term, existent. Things which are born, change, and die, produced and are destroyed. Bhava. And the second kind of thing which you are aware of is abhava, absence. Suppose you remove everything. Is that spirituality? No. That's also you are the witness of that absence. When you have bhava, we feel this is samsara. People and things are there. In waking world, in dream world, bhava. In deep sleep, abhava. In all three, you are not involved. You are entirely separate from all of this. Ram Niranjan Nyarare. You are the witness of all of this. The entire display of this universe and the absence of this display. I once did a course in the Navya logic. When you study Vedanta, we feel, oh, this is very subtle, very difficult. It's child's play compared to the school of logic, the Nyaya school, especially the Navya Nyaya, the Neo-logic school. And for 15 days, 5 hours a day, we studied nothing. Yes, that was the subject, abhava, nothing. One of some of the most difficult texts I've come across in my whole life. Single sentence would take a whole class, like 1.5 hours, 2 hours to decipher. And what was it all about? Nothing. Every day the Pandit would come to the class, this was in Asiatic Society in Calcutta, and write on the blackboard, Bhutale ghato nasti, there is no pot on the table or on the surface. So this absence of the pot on the table, that's the object of analysis. What is this absence? And I've told this story earlier also. There was a caretaker in that hall, lecture hall, who asked me, he thought I'm a monk, maybe easily approachable, because all the others are professors and scholars. He said, Maharaj, if you want, I can get a pot. It's easily available in the market, I can get. He felt personally responsible. He's responsible for the hall, all the facilities. And these people come every day and crib and complain there's no pot on the table. And they go on and on about it. Easily remedied, I can get a pot. But the presence of the pot and the absence of the pot appear to you, the consciousness, who is not in any way connected to the pot. You illumine the appearance and disappearance of the pot. You are bhava bhava vihinosmi. What is the one which transcends existence and non-existence? That is consciousness itself. Because the existence of things and the absence of those things are both illumined by you, the consciousness. You are separate. I remember this scholar, an American scholar, Larson. He was a scholar of Sankhya philosophy. He passed away a couple of years ago. A few more years ago. But many years ago, about 10, 15, about 20 years ago, he used to visit our ashram in Calcutta for philosophy conferences. And so just a few years before that, 1999, 2000, Swami Lokeshwarananda ji, who was a very well-known Swami of our order in Calcutta. Some of you may have seen him, some of you may have met him. A very loving, very wonderful, very inspiring person. So he had passed. That Swami had passed away. And this professor, Larson, he used the language of absence in the logic school. He says, in the conference, he stood up and in memory of Swami Lokeshwaranji, he said, "Today we are acutely conscious of the presence of the absence of Swami Lokeshwarananda." That is absent. We all feel it. So we are feeling the presence of the absence of Swami Lokesh. Even absence is something. It's not literally nothing. But you are the witness equally of presence and absence. Bhava bhava vihinosmi. And therefore you are consciousness only. If you are consciousness with mind and body, you are already attached to bhava, existence. So if you say, no, then I am consciousness, but I am witness of the complete absence of the world. I am just light. I am witness of the complete absence of the world. That is also consciousness qualified by an absence. In samadhi, for example. You are just consciousness. Whether the universe is present or not present. It's immaterial to you. You're equally shining in both cases. Tena jivamyanamayam. What is the result of this philosophy? What is the result of this, this kind of life? Thus do I live a pure and wonderful life. Anamayam, undistressed, unaffected, undiseased. Amaya is disease. Anamayam, a pure life, unpolluted life, an undiseased life, unafflicted life. Thus do I live. Like Vivekananda said, even before enlightenment, no excuse that I am not enlightened. You can have this. If you still feel I am in the dream, all right, dream. Dream but better dreams, which are eternal love and service free. We could go on like this, but let me, as I said, we will have some Q&A. The microphone here, please come. There were some who wanted to ask a question, please come. And the lady also was there, she was also. Yes, no, she is coming, she is coming. That's it, not more than that. Please sit, please sit. Because we will not be able to accommodate everybody. We don't have so much time. Please ask the question. Or the lady there, yes. Please come. Tell us your name.
My name is Uma.
Yes.
And I don't have to say it, but it is just a pretense in a way because I'm that which is not. That's what it is. So, after listening to all this and what I have listened before, never in person, this is the first time I'm seeing it from here. But to you and from others also. The finest point that in my mind, and it is very personal to me, it's not that I want to establish anything about my credentials, it is just that I feel that there is some ignorance there which I want to either overcome, or if I have some wrong idea, then it should be corrected. And the request is my personal request, nothing else. So, the finest point when we do this vichar, where how we can, what we are right now, what I consider myself to be, or what my I is, to be the real I, which is, has been defined in the Vedas as the one infinite existence, consciousness, present. So finally what it comes to be is that my body, mind, intellect, chitta, is all being controlled by a principle called ego, which often has been defined as a very mysterious thing in the sense that it is a reflection. So on one point it is the light, as if the light is shining on a pool of water or a reflective surface.
Can you make it more precise, a question?
Yes, so what I'm asking is that this ego is the, in a way, is the connecting point. It is the one thing that is managing the entire, what was called the anjana, or what is called the, all the projections, all what that is called mithya. And if that ego is held on in such a way, when we are doing the meditation, if that ego is held on to, not that what the ego is managing, what the mind is doing, but just the ego is held on to, is it possible that in that state it can spontaneously merge into its source?
Yes. The short answer to your question is yes. But you're right. Just one point. The ego is actually not managing all this. It feels it is managing. Ego is very egotistic. I am in charge of this body mind. No, you are not. Ishvara, God, is in charge of everything in this universe. I, as the jiva, I feel I am the person in charge of this body and all its affairs. No, nothing here is under the control of the ego. However, you are right, the ego is the doorway to enlightenment. In the sense, one way of attaining enlightenment, direct way, is to stay with the sense of I am. I am. I am what? Don't go there. The moment you go to I am what? As you said in the song, Kabir Das' song, Anjana. I am by itself, it will point back to the Niranjana, the Ram Niranjana. So I am, when you say I am, notice even the I am has two parts. One is the amness, which is existence. The I-ness, which is awareness. Awareness, existence is right there in the I am. And if you stay with that, even that is, it is tainted with the functioning of the mind. But if we stay with that, it will take us back to the source. That was the method of Ramana Maharshi actually. Thank you very much, Umaji.
So,
We have to give chance for this. We have really no time.
yes. So,
Thank you so much. Thank you.
and then I was about to say about it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Please tell us your name and ask the question.
Pranam Swamiji, name is Ananta. I have like a two-part question. First part is on meditation. When you talked here also, like as we do the neti, like body, mind, thoughts, emotions, these are all very clear, right? Then you said something about like the blankness. And each of us can get a different blankness. And then yesterday, there was like a Kena Upanishad, like there also you said even existent consciousness bliss. I listened to it only once. Even that is kind of dependent in some form with the objects and samsara, right? So my question is, up to mind, body, thoughts, all that neti is kind of okay. At least concretely you can do. What if you get to some like blankness? It's not that I'm there all the time, like flashes of blankness you get, right? Or nothingness, whatever you want to call it. And how does one kind of, you said in some meditation, Advaita Vedanta thing that drop it. Because you're aware of it, drop it. But how does one do that? Like it gets very hard, beyond the point.
Yes. It's a subtle question. Remember this blankness. First, one thing, I was listening very carefully to what you said. This blankness is also different for different people, you said. It's not. Deep sleep. See, our waking experience is different for each of us. Our dreams are also different for each of us. But our deep sleep is not different. Logically and psychologically, it cannot be. A uniform emptiness is the same for everybody. In fact, for the mosquito, for the elephant, and for the human being, for the king and the pauper, the deep sleep is the same. How much more so than that consciousness which is the witness of the deep sleep, beyond the deep sleep, how much more so it is the same for all of us. However, of course, one may argue here, those who have studied Vedanta, deep sleep is also different for each one of us because the seed of waking and dreaming is there in deep sleep, just not manifest. And that seed is different for each one of us. That's what makes us individual jivas. Now, all this talk of dropping, first of all, this has to be done not in deep sleep. No Vedanta is possible. It has to be done in the waking state, in the class. One Swami, very humorously, he said, we don't believe here in intuition, we believe in tuition. Paramatmananda. He said, intuition, he said. So, we have to come to class. And this vichara has to be done about the waking state, about the dream state, about the blankness of deep sleep state. That vichara, that inquiry has to be done here. Because the goal is not to be in that blankness, or the waking, or the dreaming. The goal is to realize the witness of all three. And that can be done when the mind is functioning. Why? Knowledge can be generated when the mind is functioning. And what will knowledge do? It will remove the ignorance which is in the mind. So the mind has to be active during the process of inquiry. Now the dropping of that blankness. This is a very subtle point. Why? Because practically it's not possible. If it's a true blankness, like deep sleep, there is nothing possible for you to do there. Because the active agent, the ego, is not present at all there. What the meaning of the dropping is to know that I am the witness of that blankness, here in the waking. Then you realize, then it will so happen that in deep sleep also, you are the witness of that blankness. Not that you have done anything for it. It's already a fact, and that fact is recognized. Yes.
The second part is...
there's a second part. All right, yes.
Sorry, this is regarding reflected consciousness. I think she also kind of approached that. So you mentioned like reflected consciousness in other ways as well. But my question is related to how does one know what it is, right? So because when you do the like Dakshinamurti, you just put the consciousness and then reflected consciousness. But if you look at like Upadesha Sara or the Ananda Menon that you talked about, they don't talk about this at all. But when you talk about the Drishya and Mayavati, you went deep into that. So what is that even something, because whenever you get the blankness or anything, there's no label on it that says, okay, this is reflected consciousness or whatever, right? So how does one reconcile that with our spiritual path towards Brahman? So what does that reflected? Do we even have to bother about it?
No, we do, because when you talk about consciousness, actually people will say it's nothing very great. We are all aware, we are conscious right now. I am conscious now. But this consciousness is not Atman, Brahman, this Bodha. This consciousness will go away. When you fall asleep, it will go away. When the doctor gives an anesthesia, it will go away. This consciousness depends on the mind. This consciousness can feel more conscious or less conscious. Less conscious after Vedanta class, after cup of coffee, more conscious. So this is the reflected consciousness. Unless you deal with it, people might either they will mistake this reflected consciousness for what you are talking about, Atman, Brahman, pure consciousness. No, it's not like that. Or they will think that's all that there is. Or for example, when the Buddhists say there is no self, the five panchaskandha, one of those panchaskandha, five skandhas which aggregates, which seems to be the self, is Vijnana skandha, consciousness. What consciousness? So Buddhists are dismissing consciousness. What consciousness are they dismissing? This is our day-to-day empirical consciousness. Yeah. So first of all, you have to deal with that. And you have to know that that consciousness is nothing different from that pure consciousness. The relationship between reflected consciousness and pure consciousness is very, very much like moonlight and sunlight. Moonlight is sunlight, but it is reflected off the moon. Pure consciousness, reflected consciousness is actually pure consciousness, but it is quote unquote, reflected off or channelized by or shadowed in the mind. Three theories are there. Pratibhimbavada, Avachedavada, and Abhasavada. Yeah. That's it.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you.
Pranam Maharaj. So, I wanted to build upon what you spoke in the earlier lecture about living in this life while being aware of the untruthfulness, the story about the God in between, and also some of the things that you touched upon in this session about like doing when you're crossroad. So what I'm struggling with is some of these examples talk about like, in some ways doing your duties in a dispassionate way while being aware. Now, my question is that if my goal is, again in a dispassionate way, I want to excel in these. So in a sense that I want to be a good son, a good father, a good employee, a good citizen. So it's not like, just doing that. So these worldly activities, I want to excel, while kind of like, also adding to my ultimate goal of the spiritual realization. So I hear you talk a bit about like, doing your work in a spiritual way, doing your duties in a dispassionate way, doing, just kind of having the action but not kind of let it affect your mind and things of that nature. But practically, and I know you hate the word practically, is like, thoughts on like, how to excel while kind of...
All right, let me address that. Let us ask ourselves what we mean when we say excel. Do I mean I'm a good son, which means I've excelled in the sense my father and mother will be pleased with me, my uncles and aunts will be pleased with me? Unlikely, it won't work. It is the good young boy or girl who thinks, now I'm grown up, I will be doing so much for my parents and I really make them happy. And any mature person will say you are in for a disappointment. What you are going to do is good, you should do it. But if you think that will please them, and that is the metric of my excellence, spirituality will lead to excellence. But you have to be careful about what excellence is meant there. Sri Krishna says, excellence in action is yoga. Literally, yoga karma sukaushalam. But what is that action? Shankaracharya comments there. Being centered in your nature as bodha, as pure consciousness. Acting in a dispassionate, detached way, not attached to anything that comes up, anybody that comes up, and yet continuously in action. That is excellence. That is the acme of excellence. Krishna is the acme of excellence. In the midst of the war. So this is battery is finished, I think. In the midst of the war, he is in the midst of tremendous action, holding the reins of the chariot, in the midst of a battlefield, with a slight smile on his face. That is excellence in action. Vivekananda put it this way: what Vedanta seeks through the knowledge of, in the time, the witness consciousness, is eternal calmness in the midst of intense activity. And where you have utter calmness in the mountain cave, your mind should be able to work like a blast furnace. Usually, what happens to people when things are calm and quiet and peaceful, after some time they become tamasic. When things are very active and dynamic, after some time they become upset, anxious, burnout. Neither of them is excellence. Yes. So, be centered in your nature as the Atman, then fulfill every role. It's not an extra optional add-on. I have to do this, what can I do? No, those are wonderful arenas to practice Vedanta. Don't consider them to be unreal, then there will be a struggle. You ask, why should I do this? If my father, mother, job, even body is unreal, not unreal. It is Brahman itself appearing as father, mother, job, family, body. The teaching is of oneness. Vedanta's teaching is oneness, not falsity. There's one thing I want to stress here is, in order to establish this oneness, Vedanta uses two powerful methods borrowed from Sankhya and Buddhism. What is borrowed from Sankhya is the distinction between consciousness and objects, Prakriti Purusha, Viveka, separation. That is borrowed from Sankhya. And what is borrowed from Buddhism is the falsity of appearance, Mithyatva. But neither falsity is the goal of Vedanta, nor separation is the goal of Vedanta. Vedanta wants to establish oneness. So once you have established oneness, you see oneness everywhere, with eyes closed, with eyes open. In job, in the meditation, in the family, in the soup kitchen, serving poor people. Everywhere you see that oneness. And that's a wonderful life. He says that anamayam, jivami anamayam, this pure and unafflicted life you lead. That is excellence. Yes. Dinner is at 6:30, right?
Yes.
6:30. Don't worry, we will not go on up to 6:30. Yes.
Swami, this is Deepak. So I have a question about Drishti Srishtivada and Srishti Drishtivada. We use the dream example to bring about the oneness of everything, right? To show that the mind itself appears as everything. And therefore it is only one reality.
Yes.
That becomes the subject and the object. But when you analyze the dream example, there is also the fact that the Srishti comes up at the same time as the Drishti. Right? Because when you start dreaming, you appear as the subject and the object.
The dream world is projected at the time of the dream.
Exactly.
Yes.
So it's a Drishti, Srishtivada. Both come
Yes, correct.
So when we analyze the dream from that perspective, isn't Drishti Srishtivada also a explanation of the dream?
Yes.
And so my question is Drishti Srishtivada a progression on the spiritual path? When you start from Srishti Drishti, and then slowly as you make progress, it becomes Drishti Srishti.
The answer would be yes and no. Why no? Because one need not go from Srishti Drishtivada to Drishti. I'll explain what all this means. You need not go from Srishti Drishtivada to Drishti Drishtivada to Ajatavada. It's not step by step like that. Any one of these vadas, these are procedures. These are like algorithms. You follow any one of them, they should take you to the realization, I am Brahman. And that's the goal. No matter which algorithm I followed. Drishti Drishtivada is logically shorter, more powerful, straight. Ajatavada is even more straight. What are these vadas means a philosophical standpoint. So these are three standpoints with regard to the world. Yes, I am limitless existence, consciousness, bliss. Yes, I am being itself, I am awareness itself. But what is all this? To answer this, what is all this? There are three answers. One is Srishti Drishtivada. The world exists and you see it. What is all this? This is the world. Yeah, but what is it? It was created by that consciousness itself through the power of Maya. From this Atman, which is Brahman, the sky emerged. From sky came wind, from wind came fire, from fire came water, from water came earth. What is this? The old cosmology, Taittiriya Upanishad. This is Srishti Drishti Vada. God with the power of Maya created this world, or today we would say Big Bang, nature has created this universe, and then we come into it and see it. We come into it and experience it. We come into life and live it. But it was already there. Everything was there. And most people will say, yeah, sure. This is very close to common sense. Now, another approach could be, as you said, the second one is Drishti Shrishtivada. No. This universe is not there apart from the seeing of the universe. Krishna Menon would approve here. Drishti Shrishtivada. Just like a dream. When you are seeing the dream place, the people, the objects, then only it exists. If you don't see it, it doesn't exist. If you've ordered a pie or pizza, eating it, it's a dream. You say, oh, the time is over, the alarm bell is ringing, I have to wake up from the dream. Let me put the pizza in the refrigerator. Tomorrow when I come back and dream, I will eat the pizza. No, neither refrigerator nor pizza will be there when you come back tomorrow. They will disappear the moment you stop dreaming. What Advaita Vedanta says, Drishti Shrishtivada. There was this Siddhanta Muktavali. So, Prakashananda Saraswati. He was this Vedanta Siddhanta Muktavali. He was the great proponent of Drishti Shrishtivada. What they are saying is, this world is also like that. It's like a dream. It doesn't exist when you do not see it. Not you, the individual. When the dreamer does not see it. Immediately we'll ask, who is the dreamer? That's what we want to know. Their views are different. There are different kinds of Drishti Shrishtivada. One kind is, God is the dreamer. Then it practically reduces to Srishti Drishtivada, because then we are part of the dream of God. Sister Nivedita one day said to Swami Vivekananda, Swamiji, can I think of it in this way, that Kali is the dream of Shiva? Swami Vivekananda stopped for a while and he thought about it, then he laughed and he said, well, have it your way. Yes, you can think it that way. This world is the dream of consciousness. That is Drishti Shrishtivada. As long as consciousness dreams it, this world is there, or if it does not, it's not there. Another form of Drishti Shrishtivada says, no, not God. Even God is part of the dream. Then who is the dreamer? The Jiva, the person. Which person? There are so many persons here. You. Which you? You, the one who's asking. What about others? We are all part of your dream. But then each of us could say that. Yes, no problem. Remember, this is not supposed to be the final position. It's supposed to take you to the position that you are pure consciousness. Even this world is a dream, I am the dreamer. This is just a way of step towards realizing I am Brahman. This is Drishti Shrishtivada. You will see Drishti Shrishtivada inevitably culminates in Eka Jiva Vada. There is only one Jiva. We think we are all many Jivas, sentient beings. But in dreams, how many Jivas are there? In your dream, how many Jivas? Even if you see 100 people, how many are actually there? One. Who? You, the dreamer. You, the dreamer. So that is Drishti Shrishtivada.
So it's not a natural progression.
No, it's not a natural progression. Not necessary. Then what is the progression of? One Swami asked, he put it beautifully. These are three ways of teaching Advaita. To understand Srishti Drishtivada, this Jagrat, waking world. Our waking paradigm, to use this to teach Advaita, you use Srishti Drishtivada. That's what we feel in the waking world. The dream world, to use the dream paradigm to explain Advaita, Drishti Shrishtivada. That's what we feel about the dream. It exists when you see it. Seeing is existence.
But don't you also use the dream in the waking state to explain the oneness of everything?
Yes, we use. But we're saying when you're trying to teach Advaita, using these three paradigms. The third paradigm is deep sleep. In deep sleep, no world is seen at all. That is Ajatavada, non-origination theory. And all three are meant to be applied here, in the waking state. Which one will you apply? That depends on Adhikari Bheda. As I mentioned, one Swami told me, These things you speak about, if you want to live them, he mentioned the Swami he had seen who actually taught these things and lived it. He said, but he was practically already a saint. Extreme vairagya, complete detachment, extreme austere life, utterly pure mind. That person, for that, this Drishti Shrishti Vada, Ajata Vada, these things become practical for them. For us, we will run, it's like hitting your head against a rock. That is our life.
So that's why I thought it might be a progression.
No, it's not a progression. Need not go. So you start with Srishti Drishti Vada, and that will straight take you to realization, I am Brahman. Now, are they just positions or are they statements of fact? Actually, Vedanta will say it's a statement of fact. One understanding of the world is in Srishti Drishti Vada. God has created a real world. From here, step by step, we will see that I am Brahman. A better understanding of the world is it's a dream. A better understanding of the world, it's Brahman only, there is no world at all. Holy Mother, Ma Sharada, one monk who has written this, he writes that one day he was asking Ma Sharada about realization. And she said, when you meditate on your Ishta Devata for a long time, then you become a living form. And this monk objected. He said, that kind of practice, it's like a dream. You think about something a lot, it will come in your dream. It will come in your dream. So how is this any different from a dream? I am seeing God after meditating on God for a long hours and hours every day for years. Then I get a vision of God. It's like a dream. Imagination, dream. Instead of disputing this, Ma Sharada says, what else is it if it is not a dream? And then she shows around, all this too is a dream. Then that monk protests. He says, no, but mother, this is not a dream. Things in the dream are unstable, like the pizza. It's there, next moment, next dream, it's not there. But the waking world, the same place, same people, you come back to it again and again. She says, instead of arguing with him, she laughs and she says, let that be so, my child. It is nothing more than a dream. In Bengali, she said, Ta holei ba baba, shopno boi to noy. It's a dream.
So that Drishti Shrishti Vada.
She is supporting Drishti Shrishti Vada there. It's nothing but a dream. Another sign that she supports Drishti Shrishti Vada. In the Upanishads, you find krama, a sequence of creation. From the Atman emerged space, from space emerged wind, from wind emerged fire, water. It's a sequence from the causal to the subtle to the gross. 5 elements appearing, then they mix in Panchi Karanam. Those who have studied Vedanta, you know. Huh? Vedanta Sara, and then the emergence of the 5 primordial elements after the admixture, and then from that the whole universe is created. This is one way. It seems like a sequence. Science also operates in a sequence. There's a book, Steven Weinberg, I think, the first 3 seconds, or first 3 minutes, forgotten. The universe, after Big Bang, what happened? Within seconds, what particles were created, yes. So, it's a sequence. Somebody asked Ma Sharada, this universe, is it created in a sequence or all at once? And she said, not in a sequence, my child. Akshangi Shava. The whole thing arises at once. That's what a dream. In the dream, it's not that the world we see in the dream started with Big Bang and then evolution and then this, I've ordered pizza and it is coming to me. No. The whole thing, the whole universe in the dream, it appears in the mind at once. And Ma Sharada is saying, this universe too appears at once in consciousness. So, the sequence theory is taught in the Upanishads. That is Srishti Drishti Vada. So, why is that taught instead of this? Because that's much easier. The whole point is to make it easier so that we can understand. If you from the very beginning say it's a dream, most people will say goodbye. I've had enough, I've heard enough. But if you say, you see this world? Yes, good, let's begin here. See the body? Good, let's begin with the body. Panchakosha vichara. If you say straight away you're pure consciousness. No, I'm the body. Oh, that's a dream. It's too difficult.
But that's why I was thinking it's a progression that comes on the way. But you're saying...
but that's what I'm saying. Internally, the progression may come. Start off by thinking of the world as real. After some time, you'll see the world has a dream-like quality. Yes. But you need not change your paradigm. As long as it takes you to Aham Brahmasmi, the realization, that's good. Thank you. Come. Tell us your name and ask the question.
Swamiji, my name is Ruchika. This might be a novice question.
You have to speak into the microphone.
I was saying this might be a novice question, but trying to comprehend the.
Is it switched off? No.
I'll just speak louder. I was saying this is probably a novice question, but trying to comprehend the consciousness that we've been taught and we were thinking in the meditation, that you're the witness consciousness, and how that is different from the supreme reality or the prime consciousness. Basically, for the equation consciousness plus object equals experience, what happens to that consciousness when a person passes away?
Mm-hmm.
Now that there is no object, no experience,
Mm-hmm.
and it cannot be broken into parts, so is it the same consciousness that we have?
Yes. So the question is, what about death? It's all very fine to speak about consciousness illumining the waking, dreaming, deep sleep. But what about death? When the body dies, the brain is destroyed, nervous system is destroyed. That's it, lights out, forget your pure consciousness, Atman, Brahman, all gone. No. Why did you bring up this question? Why? Because somewhere deep inside, our modern paradigm, physicalist paradigm, is driven deep into us. This body is producing consciousness. If the body dies, consciousness will be gone. We think so. But is that true? If you say that the body is producing consciousness, you will run into two huge philosophical questions, unresolved philosophical questions. One is what is called the question of idealism, and the second one is the hard problem of consciousness. First is question of idealism. Is there a body apart from consciousness? You will say, of course there is. Here's the body and the brain. And the brain is producing consciousness. But isn't it all experienced in consciousness? Show me the body other than consciousness. What do I mean by that? Make me experience the body without consciousness. I will not be conscious and I will experience the body. Literally impossible. The equation itself says consciousness plus object is equal to experience. If the object is the body, then I'm asking for experience of body. You need consciousness there. Without consciousness, you cannot. Nothing in the world, in the universe can be, has been, or will ever be experienced other than consciousness. Think about it. I don't mean your consciousness right now, or my consciousness. Consciousness. Awareness. To awareness appears life and the universe. If you read Bernardo Castro, he is quite unsparing with his words. Why Materialism is Baloney is the book. This is the problem of idealism. Bernardo Castro puts it so clearly. What does materialism demand of us? 4 steps, he says. I'm borrowing this from Bernardo Castro. 4 steps. Materialism demands 4 things from us. First, I am conscious. All of us agree here. Who does not agree? If you don't agree, you say, I don't agree. That means you are conscious. To disagree also, you must be conscious. So we are all conscious. I am conscious. I'm not saying we are all conscious. I am conscious, first one. That's most obvious to me. That nobody can disagree. That was Descartes' great discovery. Cogito ergo sum. Second step. You are also all conscious. Here we are relaxing the logic a little bit. On what ground am I accepting you are all conscious? On the ground that it has happened once. In my own case, I'm sure. You all seem similar to me. That means it is possible in your case this is being replicated. What I am experiencing, you also must be experiencing. So second thing, we are all conscious. Still acceptable, no problem. Third, big jump. What we are conscious of, this world here, it exists outside consciousness by itself. Then we come to it and we are conscious of it. The room exists, then we come into it. This is a big relaxation in logic because there is no way of proving it. This is third step. Fourth one is atrocious. This world, which unprovably exists outside consciousness, I'm claiming that world produces me, the consciousness. This is what materialism demands you believe. And we intuitively understand this, but Bernardo Kastrup has put it very analytically. 4 steps. So this is the first big problem in imagining that the body is producing consciousness. Second big problem is, first big problem to imagine that there is a body at all other than consciousness. Second, if you admit there is a world, there is a body. Second problem will be, brain is producing consciousness. How? That is the, Google it, hard problem of consciousness. That's where whole consciousness studies is stuck now. It's the biggest question, hot topic. How to explain consciousness in terms of brain and neural functioning. There is a correlation, consciousness-brain correlation, in the activities of the reflected consciousness in Vedantic sense, with the activities, physical activities in the brain. There's a correlation. And Vedanta will say that is not surprising at all. What you call the activities of the reflected consciousness are vrittis in the mind where consciousness is reflected. And the mind is functioning through the brain. Therefore, the vrittis in the mind must be reflected in the brain. Something is happening in you do something in your computer, then in the chip something will be happening. At the hardware level, something will be happening corresponding to the work you are doing on the computer. You may be doing a spreadsheet. In the chip there may be little bursts of electricity. Spreadsheet and electricity, they seem very different, but they are correlated. But both are objects. So, you ask the question because the assumption is body is generating consciousness. When death of the body is there, consciousness should not exist anymore. But answer to that is, how do we know that the body is generating consciousness? How do we know what is first, consciousness or body? We normally think body is first, world is first, then consciousness. That's materialism. That is what is being challenged here. Even if you grant that is true, then still the hard problem of consciousness remains. So what is the Vedantic answer to your question? At death also consciousness remains. Not that we will be conscious the way we are right now. We will probably we go into some state like deep sleep for a while. The Tibetan Buddhists have a very precise parsing of the experiences called bardos. What and a being passing away physically, but they experience a sequence of events. But my point, Vedanta will say one point here, you experience something. If you experience something, you are still conscious. All right. Om Shanti. Yes.
Just on follow up on that one. One
Yeah.
quick
Yes.
thing. Where would you put subtle body in this? Because we said that when at death.
Yes, a good question. So at death, physical body dies, subtle body does not die. What are we right now? We are sthula sharira, physical body, with a subtle body inside. And there is also a causal body and pure consciousness. So at death, only the physical body dies. The sukshma sharira does not die. Every religion in the world holds that. Death is not the end.
Swamiji, my question was what happens to the consciousness?
Nothing happens. What is happening to consciousness now? It is experiencing objects. C plus O is equal to E. What will happen at death? C plus O is equal to E. Nothing will happen to consciousness. Body will die. The sukshma sharira, subtle body, will transmigrate. Will go from this life to another life. Consciousness keeps on shining.
And the reflected consciousness continues.
Continues with the subtle body. Subtle body may become inactive. In fact, Upanishad says subtle body becomes inactive at death, like going into deep sleep for a while. Then it becomes active again as past karma takes over and we go to different lokas.
But is the consciousness aware of the body before and after that, or?
Yes, consciousness is aware of the body right now. You are aware of the body. Then at physical death, if the mind is active at that time, you will be aware of the dying body. You will realize, oh, I am not dying, body is dying, I am fine. If the mind is not active, sometimes it happens, people are in coma, very sick, very ill, then you will not even notice the dying of the body. Then when the mind becomes active again, you will find some kind of post-mortem experience. Some people have in between near-death experience. I attended a conference on near-death, so much evidence was presented. Many people have had that. Physically the body is clinically dead. The person is from getting a ceiling perspective from the top of the operating theater, is watching the doctors trying to revive the body. And when they come back, they don't die, they are revived. They give amazing accounts of what was going on in the ICU at the time when the person should not have been aware of anything. The person was in coma or in shock or something, in trauma. But detailed explanation that person gives, detailed account. How did they know? So the subtle body is still there. The subtle body is leaving the physical body, and by itself also it can experience the physical world. Okay, we have dinner now, because physical body will become weak otherwise. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu.